What's going on? It's Justeeni here. You can see I'm doing something a little different. So this is another team game. I actually didn't play this game. This was a game with Kraken. So my team is here. This is Kraken versus Arctic Wolves. It's a 3v3. There's a lot going on, but I kind of just wanted to show this game as like, it kind of shows the Poly Champions experience, competitive Polytopia in ways you won't get this kind of experience in your 1v1s, I'll tell you that much. I mean, just like look at the tribes. We have 2 Zabasis and 2 Chinchis on an archipelago map. Yeah, this is a huge archipelago. But yeah, this game wasn't like anything like super special, but I thought it showed anyway. I thought it was pretty neat. I'm gonna try and do my best to commentate over everything that's like important that's going on, but like there's a lot to keep track of. And I don't know, if you think these sorts of games look pretty cool, I would highly recommend joining Polychamps. The link to the Discord will be in the description. If you want to perchance join the Kraken team, you'll find some celebrities there, Innofunny's there. Yeah, so you should join because Innofunny's there. But yeah, let's just get right into things. So, oh yeah, sorry, hold on. I'm getting way ahead of myself. What are the actual teams? We see it's a 3v3, so we've got on the Kraken side, Keku, Zabasi, Chinchi, and then of course on the Arctic Wolves side, we have Zabasi, Luxador, Chinchi. I'll probably put a picture of the tribe points and why it's these tribes being picked. I won't go into detail at all. I'll leave it as an exercise to the viewer. Not that it's in any way simple, but yeah, you can probably figure out why they use those tribes, maybe, or you can try to make your best guess. But yeah, okay, now let's go into things. So we've got Arctic Wolves, Zabasi. So far, just early game developments. I won't make too many notes of things going on right now. Like, you can kind of see some things, Chinchi, for example, the Kraken Chinchi is in the corner, which is normally very bad for a few reasons. Very easy target to attack, and it's very hard to meet your teammates, which is a big deal in these 3v3s, because meeting stars are a big deal. You see immediately a meet with both Chinchis. And we see a very nice play here by the Arctic Wolf Chinchi attacking their warrior. And this is something that I really like about Polychamps in these team games. This one move here is actually really smart. It looks pretty normal. Oh, the idea is that they're going to kill, then you move up and kill right back, winning you the village. Simple, right? No. That's actually not the idea. You'll see in just a bit. I'll hopefully remember to go back to this. But I thought this was pretty neat. Every subtle little thing, there's usually some really, really brilliant idea behind it. And there's a lot of these in this game. And kind of, this is a plat level game, so a lot of those in general, you'll see. See, workshop on turn 3, which is a little weird, but okay. Now, this was in version 119, so you'll see a lot of explorer spam. That's why I noted the workshop as being unusual. Explorers being very good in team games and even better in version 119. So, Luxador getting fishing, kind of, getting one of those tier 1 techs, getting to the explorer, getting ready for ports and stuff. Pretty normal stuff, I don't really need to explain that. It's an Archie map. But yeah, Chinchi goes, explores the capital, and then look at that. They don't hit the warrior. They just leave it there. Spasi is doing their thing. Stuff is happening here, but the reason why they do that is so then the Luxador warrior can go, kill the warrior, meet their allies, so they actually get 2 meets. If this Chinchi warrior killed instead, they only would have gotten 1 meet, because they wouldn't have met this Chinchi. Now the downside of that is that now this Chinchi meets the Luxador. So there's a bit of a give and take, as cool as this play looks. I'm not actually sure if it is the best play here, but I thought it was a pretty cool idea nonetheless. So lots of meeting stars, and also the Chinchi gets, well, they were getting meeting stars anyway. But yeah, now Chinchi goes for turn 4 diplomacy. Now, one thing in these 3v3s, embassies are banned. They're just way too strong for 3v3s. Even in 2v2s, they have restrictions with embassies, but they just aren't allowed in the first place in 3v3. So why Diplo? kind of insane. Well, there's two reasons. First off, strategy is actually really good, even in 3v3. Not just defenders, but peace treaties are good in 3v3s. Being able to not get zone of controlled by enemy units and sending peace treaties to people far away to have your ally meet them, stuff like that. Peace treaties are nice, and then diplomacy for the cloaks, of course. We see a Chinji here. They're going to get big cities, so cloaks make sense. It is extremely risky, though, so we'll see how it pays off, but just one cloak connection could prove to be decisive. Now we see Zabasi doing their thing. I didn't note at the beginning of the game, but yeah, they have a 4-farm capital. And again, this Chinji is cornered. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. This corner Chinchi, diplomacy, ready to attack at multiple angles, but there will be pressure from the Kiku and Zabasi on the other side. Because that is one thing, like, Chinchi is a relatively weak tribe, so the strong tribes are going to be able to attack from this one flank. And all this Chinchi really needs to do is just hold on for as long as possible. But this Chinchi will actually prove to be important, nonetheless. Even if your teammate is in the corner, they are very, very important. You cannot take them for granted. So we see Zabasi doing their thing. Very low city count right now, but they are developing pretty nicely. Now we see Chinchi doing their thing. And yeah, we see this other Chinchi, like, really, really lacking in development, but getting the meeting stars, stepping on the mountain for that. Offering peace, getting that going. Goes for fishing, not the immediate cloak, which is a bit surprising here, but getting that economy is a nice and safe option. Maybe a bit too safe, though, in my opinion. Now we see Explorer from a ruin meets the ally Zabasi. Lots of nice vision there. And we see sailing for both players. I believe, yeah, sailing here for Kiku, it looks like a mistake, but it actually isn't. The reason why is to get your score above 2,000. That's going to increase the amount of meeting stars you give. So if your allies were to meet you, perchance, then you get extra meeting stars. Now we see Luxador meets their ally. See, again, these explorers are very important. And again, in version 119, they're even better. Lots of meeting stars, and this is going to give you big stars in the early game. And that's another thing I like about these team games, is you get all those stars and you have to decide what to spend them on. Short-term advantage or long-term advantage. And here, the Luxador player, the one and only Thomas Ribeiro, decides to go for a nice, kind of a little mix of both. Goes for a giant, which gives you a nice short-term advantage and lots of economy. Lots of economy. Park of Origin here sets up another giant. Just a very, very strong Luxador here. Now, our Chinchi here in the corner. Lots of meeting stars once again. Is able to not quite meet the Kiku. That's why Kiku got the sailing, is so then the Chinchi could get a nice Explorer meeting Kiku, but it actually misses. You can see Chinchi has not met the Kiku. This is the Kiku, it's Zed. So very unfortunate. And now we see the cloak from the other Chinchi. Zabasi trying to get aggressive here, taking the ruin, and also getting a giant turn 7, making use of that very strong capital alongside port connections. Now, Kiku getting ramming here, already has sailing. Goes for the Explorer. Getting meeting stars from Luxador. Lots of meeting stars because Luxador is very strong. Goes all the way, meets this Chinchi over here to get another 5 meeting stars. And despite buying ramming, plenty of stars to still do things. And Kiku's cooking up a very dangerous fleet. Now, Explorer from Zabasi. See, just like all this like big influx of stars. So like these games end up being very fast paced because of this. Like you think, oh, huge map, it's gonna take forever, but like things happen very fast. Everyone's kind of like developing really quickly, which means you need to be very precise about what you're doing. You see now, turn 7 giant. Now looks like grabbing the ruin, doing some things. Very interesting move here, by the way. Not going in the port, likely to avoid a warrior hit and or potential rammer hits from the Zabasi. because you do not need saline. Zabasi happens to have saline, but they might not know that. They could have ramming, so they decide to go there. There are probably some other much more intricate reasons as well. This is a 24-hour game, so like players have a ton of time to think about these turns, and these players are very good. They're better at the game than I am, that's for sure. So like they're thinking of like everything. They're calculating all the possibilities in the universe and deciding that the giant there is in fact best. Now we see Smithery, of course, from Chinchi, setting up the giant. And yeah, Chinchi's going to be able to hold on and be quite scary. Just tucked away in this corner. But with these high-level cities, which on turn 4, the other Chinchi was anticipating with the cloaks. Now walking over with those, see another explorer from a ruin. Gets meeting stars, so quite useful. Star ruin there. Construction. Yes, construction on Archipelago, not clickbait. Gets the giant. Unfortunately, does not push towards this tile. I don't think there was a way to manipulate it, though, because you can't put a unit there. But it is able to walk towards the port, so now this rammer isn't blocking the... Well, it still is, but it won't be able to for long. But this Kiku will still be quite dangerous. Trying to be very oppressive here. Rammers will help defend against the Juggernaut, luckily. Zabasi able to get another giant right in the front lines. You can kind of see the benefits of Zabasi maybe and why the players pick those is you get quite a lot of giants, and giants are pretty good on Archipelago. Now another Explorer Ruin, a little bit of a theme with this game, and that is going to reveal this for Luxador, seeing the villages there, which Luxador was planning to take most likely. And Luxador, the only player so far to have 6 cities, able to get Grand Bazaar here, another giant to just try to hold on to this pressure point. It's going to be very hard to defend. There's lots of water access, which means it's a very easy target. Border growth here. I'm kind of having to go back and forth all over the place. So many things to focus on at once. But yeah, another giant Juggernaut going in. Cloak doesn't move. Now, this one, I stared at this move. I do not know why they don't move the Cloak. I have a theory. Maybe if someone was playing on the articles, they can explain this one for me. My theory is that they wanted the cloaks to be together, so then when a cloak connects, the next one can follow. You get a nice cloak chain. Is that worth delaying this cloak one turn? I am inclined to say no. One reason also to not move it would be like mind games, but I feel like you could just move the cloak like here or here if you care about mind games, like just to throw them off. So I don't know. Maybe there's some heat in the moment, time pressure, accidentally skip a turn, or just forgot about it. I feel like this is hard to forget though. I don't know. Maybe there was a deliberate decision. Maybe I'm reading too much into it and it was actually a misplay. I don't know. It looks like a misplay to me though. Now we see Zabasi organization getting a third giant. Just 3 cities. 3 giants. I mean, this Chinchi also a similar deal here. You can see why Chinchi's also a popular pick as a low point option on Archipelago. Now Kiku going navigation. Bomber very strong here because the boss is trying to play defensive, so kind of punishing that with the bomber. Starting to attack. Now we see lots of scouts going pew pew, sending the Juggernaut next to the giant, which is normally a bad idea. This giant's next to this Juggernaut. We're going to see a counterattack here, but this was all planned out. The response was accounted for, and this giant's still at half health. This one's also pretty low, and eventually siege is going to happen there. Luxor needing to send in reinforcements instead of claiming the village. Chinchi now getting saline, using that Juggernaut, and suddenly Zabasi's under a ton of pressure. You thought Chinchi would be the one attacked because they're surrounded. Luxor, Zabasi, and Chinchi. Mostly Zabasi, Chinchi because Luxor, but it's actually this Zabasi that's being trapped, attacked from 2 angles, because this Chinchi isn't under much pressure. And a big part of that is because this Chinchi opting to go for the cloaks, not really getting much of a short-term attack. So there's no pressure here like at all until the cloaks actually arrive. But now the cloaks are going to go in. And yeah, Zabasi really needs to defend. They go for strategy. just to hold on and to send peace to Luxador so maybe they can coordinate, not dealing with zone of control in the way. Also very interesting, you see the raft in here. Yeah, Luxador is intending to accept peace, so you can upgrade the ship when it's there. This is actually a very interesting strategy, like the more I think about it, because like your ports are kind of locked down here, but your opponents, or I guess your allies, water their borders, you can still upgrade your ships there. Now, we'll see if this plan works, but I do think it's a pretty neat idea. And yeah, Kiku is just being very aggressive. Another bomber going down. Zabasi here, sure enough, attacking, not sieging with the Juggernaut, of course, instead with the Warrior, because the unsiege is happening either way. May as well waste it on the Warrior. And sure enough, they have to waste the firepower on the Warrior. Juggernaut just barely surviving. Luxador is under quite a lot of pressure. They have an increased city count. Only Zabasi is attacking them on just 4 cities. I guess maybe a little bit of support from Kiku, but still, this is kind of crazy to see. And the Chinchi, again, now getting navigation and a bomber here. And this is really bad. And now, advancing with the cloaks, but at this point, this is basically where the game ends. Unfortunately, these cloaks are too late. Now, the game doesn't like end. You can see there's more to the replay. But with the Zabasi getting skipped from timing out, there's a few timeouts in the game. If you time out too often, you can get skipped. This was their 3rd timeout, so they could have gotten kicked actually, but I guess Kraken was feeling generous and went with the skip instead. But yeah. So with this skip on Zabasi, this is just too brutal. Even without it, I am not optimistic about Zabasi holding this defense. Like maybe they would have gone the upgrade and helped Luxador maybe, but I much prefer Kraken here with this very dangerous Chinchi out of nowhere. All they need to do is defend cloaks, and their Chinchi becomes effectively useless, making it a 2v3, except their Zabasi's gonna die. So then it's like a 1v3. But yeah, Luxador just trying to hold on. They are able to survive, but trades all the giants down. And of course, with Zabasi being defenseless, this is just over. And we can see they did have a plan for the cloak to infiltrate. I still think it's too late. 2 bombers, even if the cloaks are constantly connecting, it's just not enough here. Who knows though? But yeah, now the game is actually over. People resign. It's officially logged as a Kraken W. Yada yada. That happened. But yeah, I thought this game was pretty cool. So yeah, again, if you think these team games are cool, maybe I can show some more from Kraken. There's some pretty nice games other than this one. And again, if you want to join Poly Champions, do some team games. I think it's a great way, like if you're looking for a new way to play. It provides a nice experience, so I'd highly recommend it. Like every single really competitive player is in Poly Champs for a reason. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.